people are looking for presence and truly meaningful experiences and meaningful connection with their loved ones. So it's not just about offering a great accommodation, a great meal, amazing drinks, and extraordinary hospitality. That is great. But at the same time, I think my focus is more than ever, how can we continue creating these once in a lifetime experiences that you won't get to experience anywhere else and that truly connect you to the local destination.
Everyone looks forward to a vacation, but when we finally hit out of office, we aren't just looking for a beach. We're looking for a way to reclaim our lives. Hyatt recently discovered that nearly everyone they surveyed is desperate for one thing: quality time. But how does a global hotel giant turn a conceptual craving into a physical experience? Today, we're talking to Anna Tomicevic, Vice President of Global Brands for Hyatt's Inclusive Collection, who is tasked with making every second count across 11 different brands in the inclusive portfolio. We also explore their Time-Rich report, the evolution of the all-inclusive stay, and why the future of travel might just be about being more present. One last time, I'm Luz Corona, and this is Campaign Chemistry. Hello and welcome, Anna. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Luz? Such a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, it's a pleasure to chat with you again. I know last time we spoke was a couple of months ago. You filled me in on some cool stuff that you guys were working on at Hyatt. And I'm excited to talk about that today. But first, let's get to know you a little bit. So our listeners, in case they're not familiar with your work. So you just turned a year at Hyatt. And before that, you were almost 2 decades at Marriott.
Oh my God, don't say that.
So tell me, that is a lot of time, but I say it because it's something to be proud of because you've been in this space for so long. So tell us a little bit about kind of your career and how it's going at Hyatt and just a little bit of your career journey.
Oh my God. Yeah. I just realized it's been a long time. Definitely. Yeah. It's been a long time. It's been really interesting. As you said, spending over almost 2 decades, at, one company that, was truly my beginning in hospitality and shaped my career and truly who I am today. Transitioning into Hyatt, it's been a really incredible change. I think change is always good.
Yes.
And even though I spent so many years at Marriott, I was constantly moving into new roles and doing different things. I feel like I've never been in a role more than 2 or 3 years max. So a lot of change in my career. Moving countries, managing different markets, overseeing different brands. So it's always been very dynamic and interesting. And now at Hyatt, I have the honor to lead 11 incredible brands. I'm not sure if you're familiar, and I'm sure you are, but Hyatt has 5 different portfolios and over 30 brands, which is a lot of brands. Yeah. And I have the responsibility of overseeing 11 of those brands under the Hyatt Inclusive Collection portfolio. So basically, I oversee the fun part of the portfolio, which is the all-inclusive brands.
Love that. And I bet it's such a bummer just kind of experiencing, all inclusive and things like that, having to do the research. But no, I'm kidding. That's amazing. We're all jealous here on the other end. Before we jump into Hyatt, I would love to ask you, because you've been in this travel space for so long, or I guess more like hospitality, but related to travel and all that. What is something that's kind of taken you by surprise, just at how this space has evolved over the years? Something that you're like, I can't believe this is what it is now, or something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. As you say, travel has been evolving so much. I feel like just the amount of options that, people have today and how much, search engines have changed, how much, I think a great example that we're seeing today is, a lot of people are doing their travel research on ChatGPT, right? Which is something that we would have never expected to happen. And it's still not the primary search engine for travel, but a lot of people are getting inspiration on ChatGPT. And that's something that it's very, very interesting to me. I think, we're all getting more into the AI space and just trying to understand, right? How can we leverage it? But that is something that has been extremely interesting to me. Even I do my research many times, right? So. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I definitely want to pick your brain about that, but it's funny you mentioned that because we just came back from a family trip to Chile, and every time my husband planned the whole thing. And mind you, I'm the one who's been going there for, my whole life, but he's the one who was running the show because he was leading on ChatGPT and he kept calling it, let me ask my travel agent, my travel, that's what we kept calling it on there. Yeah. And it didn't really steer us wrong. I mean, ChatGPT, we have to be mindful of it, and cautious, but it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Yes. It's never going to replace, right, the expertise, I think, and the curation of a travel agent, especially if you think about, a more luxurious trip or a more personalized trip. As I say, when you are, let's say, in Chile or, in a destination, I always like to ask the locals. And that is something that, ChatGPT will never replace that.
No.
But you get some really cool insights. So, it can be overwhelming sometimes as well.
100%. That's why I don't do the planning, but so I completely agree. So, before we start talking about, the Hyatt Inclusive Collection, can you tell us a little bit about that portfolio specifically and how it's different from the other portfolios under Hyatt?
Of course. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we have 5 different portfolios in Hyatt, and each portfolio has different brands. So I'll give an example. We have the luxury portfolio where one of the brands is Park Hyatt, for example. It's the top luxury brand in the company. So every portfolio is categorized based on the offering of those brands. And we have, in my case, the Hyatt Inclusive Collection portfolio, as I mentioned. So we have over 151 resorts across Caribbean, Mexico, and also Europe. We have some European markets. So a pretty robust portfolio. And we are truly the leader when it comes to all-inclusive globally. There are some other big companies out there, but, we're really growing very fast and, becoming that authority in the all-inclusive space. So our portfolio is unique because our brands, all of our 11 brands are just all-inclusive brands. So it's a very, clear value proposition from the other brands in the portfolio. And as I like to call it, we are in the industry of happiness.
Yes.
Because we truly make people happy when staying with us. So it's all about happiness.
Because especially in today's competitive space, for sure. And you're dealing with all these different kind of consumer touch points too. Like we just talked about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You also have kind of the online reviewers like the Points Guy and just all these kind of like bloggers and all that. But before I get there, let's talk a little bit about the Time Rich report and some findings in there that I believe that's what kind of led to your first big brand campaign there at Hyatt, right? So tell me a little bit about that. Yeah. Why the survey, why the timing for that report, and then what came of it?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So, you asked me how my first year at Hyatt was going. And I think when I started, I truly realized the power of the portfolio and, just the power of these brands. But as I said, in a portfolio where you have a lot of brands, different brands, sometimes it's not easy to get your message across. Right. And we do have a very powerful connector, which is World of Hyatt, our loyalty program. So all of our brands sit under World of Hyatt. And, what a better way to communicate all of our brands than under this one powerful umbrella. So that was kind of my initial vision in terms of, let's use the power of World of Hyatt and let's truly go to market with our first ever portfolio campaign, which is just easier for the customer to understand that, we have all these different offerings. We have all these different brands. We have, adults, family, because it's not easy for somebody to understand that all these brands are part of Hyatt, if you don't truly connect them to World of Hyatt. So that was kind of I would say, initial thought or strategy. But then we truly wanted to ground this campaign into insights and a study and, truly focus on what the consumer is actually feeling and saying. And as you said, travel and hospitality is becoming a very cluttered space. So, how can we truly stand out and have a clear voice and a powerful message? So this is where the idea around the Time Rich Report started. And, we said, let's partner with Wakefield Research and let's do a study, a national consumer survey, where we are going to ask Americans, about how do they perceive and value their time and what is truly meaningful for them, right, when it comes to quality time. And of course, nothing, I would say crazy surprising, right? But the findings truly connected the dots between quality time and then how travel unlocks presence and how connected these two are. And at the end of the day, everybody is looking for less stress in their lives and more meaningful time with their loved ones. So as I said, nothing too shocking, but we did see, some insights such as 82% of people, 82% are craving for more quality time. They feel like they don't have enough quality time with their loved ones. And 62%.
I was going to say, I'm not part of that 82%. I'm kidding. But it's true. I feel like that a lot of things play into that, right? Like we're on our phones, we're on our screens and all that. So there is a real deep need for quality time. Okay.
Exactly. Well, talking about screens, actually, and I kind of memorized a lot of these high impact stats. We are spending over 17 hours on our devices, and this is per week. And this is besides work and study. So these are 17 hours just literally scrolling or doing nothing on our phones.
I didn't realize it was that bad, but I should have known. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So, I think the beauty of it is that we saw that 62% of people truly believe that travel is reflection of quality time. And 90% of people say that vacations truly improve their mood. So these are some of the, I would say more high level stats, but there's a lot more about, couples and family that we can dig in later. But it was very interesting to see how much needed, right, quality time is and how people are truly craving for this and how, we can facilitate that with our resorts. And not only because it's convenient and because, it's easy, but how we can bring it to life on property and what are those experiences that we can offer, because we don't want to see families and couples at our hotels just being on their phones, right? We truly want to create that connection and we truly want to foster that meaningful time when people are staying with us. So that was kind of as I said, the initial idea. Yeah. And then the study was truly that foundation of how this whole campaign started.
Got it. So what's the chain reaction that came from that? So you see now like quality time, you know, and how people define quality time has kind of evolved over the years as well. There's a lot of screen time going on. What are some examples of like the changes or how you kind of brought that to life through the campaign or changes that you made to the properties?
Yeah, of course. So it's been very interesting because a lot of the things we were already doing, at our properties, I think we were just not talking about it. And that was also a big breakthrough in terms of we truly need to be talking about these things. We have some incredible experiences in a lot of our properties that we were not really messaging. So that's one thing. But we truly developed, as I said, not just a campaign. So our campaign concept and creative messaging is about time here is worth more. So it's really all about, how time is just more meaningful, when you are present. So it's all about presence. And, of course, the campaign is beautiful and very inspirational. But at the same time, as I said, it has become a platform, how we speak on all of our channels, how we speak on our own channels. Of course, there has been a lot of earned media, a lot of, press around it. And then that is really shaping our guest experience. So what we have been doing is looking at our guest experience. And when I say guest experience, I'm talking about, most of our brands, but truly focusing on those, key brands that where we have the highest distribution. So for example, Secrets Resorts is, the brand that has the majority of hotels. We have over 30 Secrets Resorts. It's a very, very strong and well-positioned brand for couples. It's very tailored to couples and adult travel. So just to give you an example. So we have been truly looking into what are the experiences that we offer today, and then how can we shape this guest experience in a more meaningful way. And I can give you a few examples of that as we kind of continue the conversation. But it's been a very strong foundation.
Okay, great. Do you ever kind of look at the stronger performing brands in your portfolio and just kind of take notes and learnings and apply it to other? Or do you try to keep these all within their own lanes and their own specific brand personalities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, as I said at the beginning, having 11 brands is never easy because, having that true brand differentiation can be sometimes a little bit challenging. It is something that we're continuing to work on all the time. There are some things that can be pulled through across all the brands. So for example, if you think about, resorts, all inclusive, as I said, fun, all of our resorts have to cover those table stakes, right? So all of our resorts have to have, amazing entertainment, have to have an incredible food and beverage offering, a variety of restaurants, incredible service, all of these things, well-being offerings. Well-being today is also considered a table stake. Like everybody's doing well-being, right? So we have to cover those. Now, the way that it comes to life, especially when it comes to specific experiences, for example, Secrets, we will focus more on couples. And it's not that we also have a lot of group travel. So it's not just couples, but it is definitely a brand that, we will create these incredible, unique, romantic experiences that are very specific to Secrets that you won't find in any of our other brands. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And now, what are some examples of how you kind of brought those findings to life? You alluded to it before, and because you're saying that what I'm hearing is the answers have been there this whole time. It's just how you've kind of leveraged it or how you've communicated it. So what are some of the actions that you put into place following that?
Yeah. So one thing that we did is, a full audit of all of our experiences across all of our properties. And that was a big task. And we realized that there was definitely a lot of great pull through already happening when it comes to, meaningful connection and, well-being experiences. And so we kind of classified those and made sure that, these are the ones that are standing out. We also started gathering best practices and just more information in terms of, what's really driving the needle, what's working better, what are the guests saying, what are the top performing experiences. For example, we have 2 experiences that already existed that are truly our best in class experiences in the Cancun area, right? Because we have other markets, but we have this beautiful experience where you get to swim with turtles. And it's not just about swimming with turtles, but it's the whole experience, right? That it gets curated for you. If it's a couple experience, it's curated differently than if it's a family experience. But it's this moment where you truly get to disconnect from the world and leave your phone and get to swim with turtles. And it's a beautiful Beautiful experience, all done by our staff. So that's one example that was already happening. We were just not talking about it very much. They also do in the same property beautiful sound healing, and sound healing is now a thing, and everybody's doing sound healing. But
who is it? Kendall Jenner, I feel like brought that in.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Kendall.
Exactly. Now it's everywhere, and it's like a table stakes already. But for example, we in this property they have a sacred ceiba tree that has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. So they do the sound healing under this sacred tree with a local shaman. So it's a whole experience. They have different instruments. It's more of a sound therapy than a sound healing. And, a lot of the guests that go through this experience say that they feel completely renewed and restored after this experience. So it's kind of how can you make it more different and just unique and distinct? So those are just two examples that, we kind of discovered, and we continue to push those kind of experiences. And then, what we're also doing is, we are working on partnerships, because we also believe that, the power of partnerships, can truly bring to life these experiences. So we have developed some very specific partnership pillars that, we're going to be pulling through. And again, this all came from the campaign. So, our partnership pillars, one of our partnerships pillars is actually about inner presence. Another of our partnership pillars is about human connection and how can we make it more meaningful when staying with us. So we're developing a whole strategy and a whole framework of these partnership pillars. We're working with potential partners already, and those are work in progress.
Mm-hmm. You can't share those. I won't tell anybody.
There is one that is already about to launch. And I just can't share the name of the specific partner.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I'm really excited about this one. Connection cards is a thing right now. And I think a lot of people love connection cards. Just
are those the ones that, I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Are those the ones that prompt you and just kind of like give you questions?
Conversations.
Yes. Yeah. I've been seeing them everywhere.
Yeah. They're honestly, they're super trendy right now. And people are really enjoying them, because one thing that we're seeing, and we see it a lot in our resorts, especially with couples and sometimes families, they're on their phones.
Yes.
And people are kind of forgetting how to have real conversations and deep conversations. Yeah. So these cards have prompts, to foster these meaningful conversations. And it truly bring people together. And it's a very interesting way to just have more meaningful conversations. So, and it's funny because every time I visit one of our resorts, people think I'm always on vacation, but I'm not. I'm actually working.
We believe you, kind of. Yes, you're doing your research.
Because I visit a resort every other week, and I love to walk around the pool and just walk around the resort and see people. And I see a lot of people on their phones. Yeah. And it's kind of sad, because you want people to be interactive. So this is where we really try to be creative and create these experiences. So, this partnership is going to have, a lot of different, components where we're going to have, QR codes. We're going to have, of course, the physical cards as well available. But we're really going to prompt, couples to have more conversations, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. We're working on a whole launch. But it's a way to enhance the guest experience that is easy, that it's not very complicated, and it's just something different. So that's an example of something that we're launching pretty soon, and that's specific to the Secrets brand. Mm-hmm. But we're also looking into, well-being partners. We also want to do more in the zero proof space.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. All inclusive has always been known for free alcohol.
Yeah, that's the best part.
That's the best, right? And I know. And that's the case. That's still the case, right? And we love for people to have fun and enjoy some great drinks and cocktails when staying with us. But at the same time, we know that especially the younger generation is not consuming so much alcohol, and so we definitely want to be more active in this space. Of course, you can always have mocktails and alcohol-free beverages at our resorts. But we also want to do more in this space. It's a category that's growing. A lot of these zero proof beverages and brands are taking off incredibly well. So that is something that we also feel like it will contribute to the guest experience.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, you're giving me the travel itch again. No, that's fantastic. Sometimes I do think, I'm like, I know we used to talk about things before it was just showing each other videos on IG and then laughing about that, it's great. It's very refreshing to hear because vacation is such a good time to do that and reset. And like you said, well-being is table stakes. So that's 100%. All. Yeah, there's no boring day, I'm assuming. This consumer behavior is evolving from like 1 month to the next. Now, I would love to go back to that. But this whole time, I'm listening to you and it's clear you guys are consistently and innovating based on consumer insights and all that. At the same time, like you alluded to before, the consumer journey is changing so much. So now you're dealing with ChatGPT. Like I said before, kind of like the travel bloggers are still in full effect that have grown into their own kind of media companies like the Points Guy. Then you have kind of, priorities of loyalty programs and things like that, just travel habits changing. So how are you looking at the consumer journey? Like, how are you adjusting to all these kind of different points of discovery, from AI to everything else?
Yeah. Well, definitely, as you said, it's a changing environment every day. One of the things that we are looking into is, where is the consumer, where is the traveler truly doing the research? And so, one thing that we just tested as an example, this last quarter, we still don't have the results, but we started working and testing exploring with Reddit, right?
Yes.
For the first time. We know that this is a travel research platform and discovery platform. So we tested some native placements there and we want to be part of the conversation. So those are the kind of things that we're, exploring and seeing how it performs. We definitely need to be where the customer is and, where people are doing their research. So this is a great platform. The other thing is, I think connected TV is another one that we all know that, streaming is nowadays, kind of like where people are all the time.
Right.
So, we know that 70% of US households are streaming. So, that's something where we always need to be present. And this campaign actually, had a big portion of connected TV. And we saw some incredible VCR with over 90% of our videos. So 99% actually. So that's a very strong platform. So it's truly understanding that, where people are searching and booking. And also the other thing that I would say is when people are searching and booking, you want to have the capability to truly search for, just have more options. So for example, now we have launched an AI powered research on our Hyatt.com. So it's easier. So for example, if you want to, if you're looking for a specific vacation, in a specific destination, or you're looking by amenity, like I want a lazy river pool. I want a hotel that has, a well-being offering. I want a golf course. It's just easier to search because that's the other thing that, people want to have all these options when searching. So this AI powered search has been truly, truly great for Hyatt as well.
Fantastic. I mean, I feel like search bars are notorious for being faulty and not working. So good for you guys investing on that part of the site.
Or just limited, right? You can just, historically, you can just look by destination and that's it, right? But you don't really, you want to see, maybe you're looking for something very specific, or maybe you don't know.
Yeah. And I would assume that's also kind of giving you some more insight too into just, what are the trending, constant inquiries? Is it always lazy river? Should you invest in that and things like that? So I would imagine that's pretty rich resource for you guys too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've definitely seen that, some of the key drivers are definitely, I think food and beverage is a big one, especially in the all-inclusive space. People are truly looking for great restaurant options and great quality of food and beverage. And that is something that, we stand out. We truly put a lot of effort and we're innovating constantly in our food and beverage offering. Cause you want to eat well when you're, on vacation, but now also, focusing on well-being, right? Because now when you go on vacation, now it's not just about eating. You really want to eat well and you want to have healthy options and you want to be able to get in a great workout and you want to have a smoothie. So all these things are changing. We have been truly adapting to the new needs, which is great. People are getting healthier and that's amazing.
Yeah. I was going to say, is that me? Do I do that? I feel like you're more compelled to be kinder to your body, because you're being kinder to your soul when on vacation. I mean, I'll tell you, Anna, I think I told you the story when I first met up with you. Hyatt will have a special place in my heart because last year, and I won't name the hotel that I was at, but I was in Florida for the ANA conference and, I'm not one of those complainers. I'm not. I'm like, I see something and I'm like, all right, if I don't see another site, maybe to a fault. And no, my hotel room was just inhospitable. I could not do it. And then and then you kind of lose faith in the establishment too. They were moving me to another room, but I was like, is it going to be I don't think I can shake off this first room. So long story short, obviously that didn't work out. I'm in Florida and I'm like, I have meetings to get to. I need to figure something out. And luckily a friend who's a native not native, she lives in Florida. And she was like, the Hyatt over there is actually really nice. It just went through renovations. And I was like, say less. I booked it. The staff welcomed me with a glass of champagne, which I very much needed in that moment, and just the establishment. I couldn't get over how the cleanliness, the newness of it. I mean, Hyatt will always have a special place in my heart for that. And it was a really beautiful space, but also it was just the atmosphere. It was the environment that was it felt, obviously premium, but welcoming. Which is great. Yeah.
I love that. I'm so happy that we saved your life at some point.
You did. You really did. Because I was like, what am I going to do? It's getting to be nighttime. I don't have anywhere to stay. Yeah. So that was great. So what is something that, is on your kind of on your radar to improve in the travel experience? Is it, whether it's related to your own or things like that, where you're like, this needs to be more important, or we need to care a little bit more about this? Is there anything specific in that space that you want to kind of, improve?
Yeah. I think, I think definitely continuing to curate these unique experiences. We know that today, nowadays, there's a lot of options. We know that people are looking, and we know this now, people are looking for presence and truly meaningful experiences and meaningful connection with their loved ones. So it's not just about offering, a great accommodation, a great meal, amazing drinks and extraordinary hospitality. That is great. But at the same time, I think my focus is more than ever, how can we continue creating these, we call them signature experiences or distinctive experiences, but, truly these once in a lifetime experiences that, you won't get to experience anywhere else, and that truly connect you to the local destination. Because I think now more than ever, yes, we do want to make sure that, that some of these experiences are standardized across, our resorts. But at the same time, I want more than ever, people are looking for authentic and local connections. Yeah. So I think, more than ever, we need to make sure that if you are in Jamaica, right, you truly feel that you are in Jamaica and that you experience that local destination and culture and connection to that destination. If you are in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, which is not the same as Cancun, right, that you have a different experience. And if you are in Los Cabos, you have a different experience, even though the 3 destinations are in Mexico. But these are very different parts of Mexico. Yeah. So that is really, I think the main goal is to continue to develop these authentic, locally rich experiences so that you come back and you feel like you really took something away from that place. And it's, this beautiful memory, and it's not just about spending time with your loved ones, but you also got to experience the destination.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, personalization, it's obviously a huge topic now, but in your world, this has always been the case. So I would imagine, I'm here thinking about just kind of the whole experience, and it's very important to hire talent that also reflects what you're trying to bring. They're the ones that kind of drive that personalized experience. So, you mentioned local culture is important. Like, what else do you look for when hiring talent for Hyatt? But is it like the local knowledge, what is it that you look for in your people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, and again, I'm not the human resources expert, of course, but I see it in our properties. I always say, because I've been in hospitality for so long, that when you work in hospitality, it's because you really have the passion and you truly love to serve others. Yep. And not everybody has that capacity. No. And especially when you look at our staff at the resorts, these are people who go above and beyond just to make, our customers happy. And it's really their passion. So I think the first thing is just the passion and the love for what they do. And this is something that you can see in someone in 5 minutes.
Yes.
They either have the passion or they don't have the passion. Yeah. Especially in the hotel space, people have to have that passion for service. Yeah. Because if not, they're just not going to give their best. Yeah. So, and that's what we always, look for. Hyatt has a very strong care culture as well. So we truly, and it's when I came into Hyatt and I saw this, my first day in the office, there's a wall in the office that has this like big quote, right? And it says, "We take care of you so you can take care of others." And it's true. Like I can see it in the corporate space. I can see it in the resorts. There's a very strong culture of taking care of others. So I also think that is something that when we're hiring people, we're looking into does this person have a care culture? Because, that is very, very key to Hyatt as a company. Yeah. And, to your point, I think, of course, the resorts always have more locals, right? Because those are the ones that truly know the destination, the culture. Of course, not everybody is local, but majority of the staff is local.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're making me consider just going to a Hyatt.
You want to work in hospitality? I mean, you could.
It's not for the faint of heart. That's me. I just like being on the other end and enjoying them because I can't do what you all do. The passion for hospitality, I give you so much kudos for that. And it seems to be working for Hyatt. So this was really lovely. Thank you so much, Anna. It was really great chatting with you. Now I feel like if you see an uptick in bookings at Hyatt, just know it was this podcast. But thank you so much for your time.
Of course. When is your next vacation?
I'm not gonna lie, it's actually next week. I'm going to Punta Cana.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was a last minute kind of booking, you know, had the days. My best friend was going and said, why not? It was one of those rare moments where the stars aligned and you know, I had some points booked up and all that.
Amazing.
So,
don't we all love the points?
Oh, we love the points. It's so great. Yeah. Yes. So, yes, thank you for asking. That's so amazing. I'll report back. But thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you so much, Luz. Thank you for having me. This is amazing. Thank you.